And we are live. Welcome to the Renegade Podcast. I'm your host, Dashing Rogue, and I'm my frequent sidekick, Artistic Layman.
What? You!
Shh! Listen, you are a bad person, and I do not like you. But Kikimora is trying to kill you, and unfortunately, I'm too nice to let that happen.
Oh, apparently, yeah. I that's like the story of my life in the valley. You know, a lot of people don't deserve to be where they're at, but I still help them anyhow. They're bad people, but I'm gonna help them because I don't know what the hell their reason was. I don't know the plot of that show. But my reason is oftentimes just because, to go along to get along. There's no use of, dying over a freaking cookie, okay? And yeah, when you're dealing with SJWs, there's always a fucking cookie or some sort of brownie point. Something like third grade levels of stuff, of reasoning. Anyhow, what was that from anyhow, Luke?
That's from the latest episode of Owl House.
Oh, I have not watched. I don't watch TV. I mean, I really don't watch TV. I actually wanted to talk about something before we get into the big meat of the subject matter, because tonight we're going to talk about the right cannot encrypt. And I'm noticing more and more that there's a really, really big digital divide between the left and the right. There really, really, really is a huge digital divide. We're going to talk about that tonight. But before we go on to that, well, Luke, you said you had a Pixar film you wanted to show me. You wanted to show me a trailer to it.
Oh yes, Pixar has now released the trailer for their latest upcoming feature, which will be next year, I guess. And it's called Turning Red, and it's something to behold, and hopefully there'll be more development to it. But I'll just surprise you, I guess, because you haven't seen it yet. Turning
Red, is this like communism or like what are we talking?
More SJW interpretation of emotions, but you'll see exactly what I mean in a minute.
Oh God!
But here we go. Here we go. Hope we don't get plugged. Right. Let's hear.
All right, guys. The quadratic formula. Let the fun begin. Who could tell me how the formula begins? X equals...
No.
I just want to take a moment to say, yes, that those are Jelly Bean mouths. We have a Cal art style going on here.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks more like the fucking... I was going to say Cal Arts. I was going to say fucking Dr. Seuss. It looks like Cat in the Hat. No, it does.
Yeah,
like, I'm not...
They have dimensions and they have thickness. This is just the best way to try to bring 2D to the dumb 2Ds of the Cal Arts to 3D.
Oh, and of course they have the fucking turban bus driver. Jesus Christ.
Well, keep in mind that the setting is Canada, and the girl is a Chinese Chinese, basically.
Oh, so roaming millennial, essentially. Okay.
We're going to see a lot of, like, I guess, I don't know if diversity...
We're going to see a lot of happas.
We're going to see a lot of immersion in diversity here, or immersion of another culture, which may or may not be a good thing, but that's not the point. Here it is.
All right, because everyone keeps...
What is happening?
My child goes to this school. I used to I you. Ow! I paid my taxes.
What is that? Oh, snap!
All right, settle down, little goblins. Whoa.
Backstreet Boys?
Yes, this trailer plays larger than life from Backstreet Boys.
Jeez, the fact that I remember that, I cringe at my love of that show, my nostalgia of that fucking of that band. But so I guess he turns into a giant panda.
Yeah, I guess her emotions get too much, and she turns into a giant. I think it's a panda. I want to say it's like that thing that Mario turns into to Tanuki, but I don't know if that's what it is.
If it's a Tanuki, well, Tanuki's a raccoon, so that would be. Oh, he turns into. Wait a second. He turns into the coon.
Yeah.
It's like South Park from a different universe.
But
I don't know.
For the sake of copyright, I'm going to block the music because the music's playing in the background, and I'll play it when it's safer.
All right, that's fine.
So basically, she has an emotional fit, and she's going on the run because for some reason her mother dropped her off to school and then followed her to school. I'm hoping that they're going to have an explanation for that, but I don't know. So she just now they're saying larger than life, and she jumps over their heads and jumps into the window of her room, and then right here we get back to normal.
The fucking Tanuki.
Then. Yes! No!
Coming soon.
Wow. It actually looks pretty cool. I like it. I like that. It's very cool. I don't know. I mean, again, as somebody who doesn't watch a lot of TV, again, if I went into the theater right now, like I have a very, very interesting opportunity that's not really available to a lot of people. I could literally walk in right now to a movie and not know anything about it, and I might be entertained. I legitimately might be entertained.
Yeah, that is a good experience. Unfortunately, you probably won't have it with this one because it's a Pixar, Disney. They probably were going to release on Disney Plus because ever since they started releasing movies again, they have not released any of their new movies in the theater right now because to do so would mean they have to give money to the theater owners.
Right. Hey, Holy Mystic, how you doing? We were just talking about going into the theaters, newest Pixar films and what have you. And just catching up in general.
Yeah.
But it's called Red, you said?
Turning Red.
Okay, so you know that picture I showed you before?
Which
that
one?
picture of the one of Smacky?
Oh.
you want to talk about Turning Red. That man, I don't know if it's just he's a dummy. He doesn't know how to use contrast. Like it's his shirt and it's like bouncing off of him and he sort of becomes red. But I imagine if the man were to wear like one of those like all white suits, like a black rapper or something, he'd probably turn red. Maybe, look at that.
Maybe he is turning more red with every second. Like, is it just a bad camera? Or is he really just burnt?
Yeah, maybe he's burnt. I don't know, but like it really, honestly, he's pink. He's not even red. He's pink. He's a pink man.
Fred's famous. Peanuts.
So let's hear what he has to say.
What is this? What is this? Like, what is this? Like censored TV? This is Gavin McInnes' stuff, right?
This is Gavin McInnes' stuff. So Smackhead's hanging out with the Gavin McInneses, but also Milo and apparently Soph, because apparently Soph is still a thing.
Oh, she's around on this?
Yeah.
Oh,
so which is
that's
really.
Where she went.
So I gotta ask the question, like, what are these people for? What do they do? Like,
I mean, I get, like uncensored, like unauthorized TV has like Razor Fist and Bearman and all the like more, I guess, quote unquote, more popular people, and I guess these guys are far more dissident kind of people.
Well, I wouldn't say they're dissidents so much as they're fucking just people who are political. They're political dissidents, and that's the one of the reasons I just don't like a lot of the culture war now is because everything has to be political, even when it's not. Which again, if you could play some of his song, I can't hear any of it here on the end. What?
What audio work?
Years later, I'm still pissed off at her for lying to me.
About what?
If you're gonna, just tell mommy and daddy love you, and we brought you these presents. Why do you have to fucking lie to them?
Oh, maybe because about Santa Claus.
He's still pissed off 50 years later about Santa Claus being lied to him.
I mean, I kind of got over it as a kid, but I mean, yeah, I would appreciate that. I would appreciate something dumb like being taught to kids.
Well, let me just say this: like, I still believe in Santa Claus, and you know why? Because he actually existed. He punched an Aryan in the face, by the way, apparently. But no, seriously, like Santa Claus punched an Aryan in the face. It wasn't like a drug addict smackhead right here, but it was like legitimately he punched a Aryan, which would be more like a Muslim, I guess. So you know, that's basically what happened.
Is that the actual saint, or is the personification of Odin?
What?
Like
no, I'm talking about Arius, the Arius heresy, dude.
Oh, I see.
So he punched an Arian. Yeah, that's what they call him, Arians. It's not Aryan like, you know, the Aryans of the North or some stupid shit like that, or Nordic mythology.
Yeah, the Aryan heresy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he punched an Aryan in the face, and he did exist. The difference here is that my parents, when I figured it out, they told me to keep it a secret, and they gave me the reason why to keep it a secret. Santa Claus did exist. It's just that his meme is now what we interact with. Yeah. It's his legend. You know, he's like the greatest chaos deity out there is Santa Claus. Like, legitimately.
Yeah, that was a meme. Santa Claus was a meme before we knew how to. Richard Dawkins could tell us what a meme was.
He is. I mean, the concept of whether it be Father Christmas or Old Saint Nick, he still exists. But apparently, he's not good enough, even though the meme is never good enough for the old Smacky. So continue with it, because I actually might keep an eye on this guy, simply because I'm interested in protecting Milo in his spiritual infancy from people like this. And you might say, this guy is evil. This guy is evil, evil, evil. No, he's like, he is. He legitimately has connections to the Church of Satan. Okay, he has ties to a lot of these, you know, white nationalist LaVeyan Satanist types. So we got to keep an eye on this guy. And again, I don't know if he's telling the truth. I assume he is, simply because, or maybe he's being hyperbolic. I don't know. But if he's still angry after, you know, 50 years, I wonder, are you still angry after high school? Goad. Are you still angry about, you know, when your first love ditched you? I legitimately want to know, like how angry is it because they lied to you about Santa Claus? Is that the reason?
This video, well, this is the first preview of the video called "The Day I Left the Left." When he leaves.
Which I actually kind of want to purchase this simply just to hear his, because something tells me this is more like a therapy session for him. It's more like him just talking and getting shit off his chest. Like, if you just let the SJW, or in this case the LHP, run its mouth, it will eventually burn itself out, because that's all it does. It's like an oil fire.
Supposedly, in this episode, he covers "We Know They're Lying" Special South Africa edition, Shilling, Trauma Chamber, the public meltdown of a sadomasochist.
I guess that's all. Again, I guess it's Gavin's people. I guess it's Gavin's people.
Maybe some of you will. Nice delusion. I like, you know, it's a nice story. Are you such a spineless, weak little worm that you need to navigate your life with illusions? The second thing, and I know I'm going to step on some toes here.
Okay.
Second belief that I had and then shed was a belief in Christianity. I grew up with it, 12 years of Catholic school. That doesn't damage you, nothing will.
He has such a seductive voice, doesn't he? He sounds like he's gonna sell you a cigarette. Like he's gonna sell your kids cigarettes. He literally, he sounds like he's gonna say, "Hey kids, you want to be cool? You want to smoke?" No, like he literally kind of gives off that demonic vibe. It's really awesome.
I guess.
Keep going.
I guess a goat is like one of those people who doesn't have a plan to grow old.
Yep, he'll be forever young.
And I started reading the Bible, and I kept reading the Bible. And I'm like, oh, fuck, the Bible doesn't make any sense.
Could you be a little more specific? Like, the Quran doesn't make any sense. Could you actually be specific?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, this is where I kind of have to pity him, because if he is in Catholic school and they're not teaching him etymology, they're not teaching him biblical archaeology, you know, history, they're not teaching, you know, the geography, they're not showing, like, things like the Shroud of Turin apparently had the same pollen of the person who was crucified, who it shows has the same pollen of the plant that supposedly was used for a crown of thorns. It's a thorny plant. Like, there's actual, like, you could use like CSI, crime scene investigation, for Jesus. Ooh. And it could be, and it could bring you closer to God. It could bring you closer to the truth. There are like legitimate issues of biblical archaeology and, you know, certain etymology that is lost on people. Drugs, for example, the notion of drugs being used as a for medicinal purposes didn't exist back then. It was considered sorcery. So when they say we're anti-sorcery in the Bible, they're not referring to fireballs and like magic missiles.
Harry Potter.
They're not. They're talking more about healing balm or, you know, Tylenol, essentially, or drugs like the psychedelics and things such as that. They're against that stuff. You know, again, I don't know. again, he's never going to get into that, but I would like to know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
maybe he was left behind.
Yeah, but like Protestants don't have this. In my experience, most Protestants don't have this kind of direct education. There's no such thing as Protestant school, and so I don't know if we have those same kind of. There seems to be this kind of idea of the whole traumatic experience of the nun smacking you in the back of the hand with a ruler, but because we Protestants, it's almost like we don't have a school for this. We kind of like supplement it through our own interest and own investigation.
Yeah, and again, that's probably the best way to go about things, dude, is simply because if you do it that way, you're self-taught, you're autodidactic, and that's something that you should do. You should grow in your faith on your own time, not just with a spiritual group, but you ultimately are responsible for your own salvation at the end of the day. You are. Granted, it's through Jesus Christ, but ultimately, if you don't believe at face value, keep looking into it. By all means, seek and you shall find.
And as C.S. Lewis put it, like I forget the context of Mere Christianity, but he said, because any Christian will fail himself in becoming more intelligent because Christianity itself is an education.
Yep, it is.
After a while, I wanted to believe so bad. And a lot of you get it wrong. It had nothing to do with the way my dad treated me or my mom or the nuns. None of that. I was reading the book and it's like this and this can't possibly be true at the same time. Can't possibly be. I'm better off. I'm throwing this book away and I'm going to look at the world with my own eyes and my own guts and figure it out myself. And I'm happier because of it.
Does that mean anything in the absence of God? Like, seriously, I'm having this back and forth conversation with a nihilist, and he's trying to lecture me about how he cares about people and he feels feelings. Like, what does that matter in a nihilistic universe?
Shit.
But, I don't need. Is God a nihilist? Is he does he believe in something? There's meaning in the universe? Like,
I think that ultimately God is God. Like, that's how I would see it. No, like. And I'm not trying to like insult the man, but like I think that he is too far off the deep end of anything to be considered categorized as just one thing. Just just see him as God. That's how I would see it. And whether you want to look at that as like he's goading people or something, that's neither here nor there. And I'll let you decide. On.
Now the first one I shed about age 8, second one about age 16, third one, equality. That's the modern gospel. I know this pisses you off, a lot of you people, that, well, we got rid of the Christianity for the equality. They're both bad.
The thing is, if you're paying for this, you probably already know that.
Yeah, they both are bad. What next? Well, they're bad. What do we do about it?
If we know, but isn't most of the people who would buy this channel and subscription already know that equality is kind of like a unofficial lie, like a unspoken lie that no one talks about?
Well, again, it depends what we mean by equality. Equality of opportunity, equality of law, the quality of, circumstance. Like, what do you mean by equality? You have to define your terms.
Maybe he will.
And so, he will? Maybe he will.
Maybe he will. We only have 2 minutes left.
Okay, let's continue.
I think they're both dumb. If you want to argue with me, bring it on. Bring it on to the ball stream. Ask me.
Never mind. He doesn't define it. No.
Nope, because and that means that if I go into this assuming we're talking about quality of opportunity, he never defines it. He could just simply, flip-flop and say, no, it's not quality of opportunity, it's quality of outcome. What are you talking about? I go on to a quality of outcome, he'll back down. This is why I don't trust the little red devil.
Well, that's probably what he means, because I don't think no one really has a problem with quality of opportunity. It's always the quality of outcome that everyone always gets.
Well, hang on. How far do you go to enforce equality of opportunity? Like, think of it like this. Diversity hires are a perfect example of equality of opportunity. It literally is a job opportunity. No one's entitled to it. How about, getting a...
Well, that's a result of outcome because it's assumed that they're being excluded from a positive outcome.
Well, it's assumed... Well, couldn't that be argued the same way of the law? I mean, the law... Like, they're not to get too deep into this, but, like... You could argue that because the courts disproportionately favor women in divorce or disproportionately favor, let's say, a certain group of people, let's say, in the court system, whether because they perceive them to be weak and they need help or something along those lines, couldn't you then argue that in itself is a form of inequality? Like the notion that was like the soft bigotry of low expectations, kind of. Like,
yes,
we're going to let the...
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd have to ask him to define his terms, but he's not going to do that because once you define your terms, it's locked into place. It's like Tetris; it's already down. The block is down, and now you can't move it. You know,
Challenge me. I do the Ball Stream Blitz every Friday night live at 8 p.m. You go to chat.censor TV on mobile, or just go to censor.tv on the desktop. Look at links, then chat and go to vote. Go in there Friday nights. 8 p.m. Challenge me on any of this shit. I would love to take you on and eat you up over it. Quality was something that was drilled into my head from childhood. I mean, I grew up partially, I was still pre-pube, still in single digits in the 60s. But even
how
back
old are you?
Shit.
How old are you? Like legitimately, he looks. Doesn't he look like he's like 40? Like at tops, he's 40. I wouldn't. He looks like my fucking age. Like he could blend in with me. He doesn't look that old. And I'm like, in the 60s? Really? You're that old? Okay.
Interesting question.
Oh, legitimately, how old is he?
The disparity of blacks are poor. It's because of racism. And we're supposed to feel bad that we beat the Indians in a war across the fucking continent. I think that's pretty fucking badass, actually. I mean, the Indians never came over to Europe and raped and pillaged. I would give them props if they did, but they never got their shit together enough to do it. Quality has become the modern gospel. And I got rid of that around, actually, I say 30. I was looking back at an article that I'm going to get into called The Day I Left the Left. I wrote that about 10 years ago. I was about 28 when I shed my last belief. And now I have no beliefs, just the suspicion that if I look at the world with my fucking eyes and judge things with my guts, that's the best way to be.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong about that. I mean, usually for most things you will encounter, trusting your gut and trusting your eyes and ears and your five senses is probably the best way you can go. He's not wrong. Now, that being said, when you're talking about a God, and this is where, you know, I get a lot of shit about this from Catholics, but I tell them, by the very nature of God being supernatural, his intervention, his very presence in the world, or let alone intervention, let's say in, actions that happen in the world, that in itself is a supernatural thing that cannot be changed. It's like saying somebody who doesn't talk, let's say they're mute, and then they automatically speak. That is like a very, it's the exception rather than a rule. You're not going to be able to scientifically test that. It's a matter of reason and faith. That's really ultimately what it is. You could reason it away and say, it's just a fluke. Or you could say it's a miracle. Or you could say, it's supernatural. Point is, you can't test it. That's the main thing I'd say about that. Anyhow. Let's just finish him out.
You aren't equipped for that. I understand that. That's why beliefs are pre-made for people. That's why they hand the dummies scripts. Here, guys. No, this is the way it is. All right, fine.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring up Proverbs 21 for this. A person may think their own ways is right, but the Lord weighs the heart.
Oh, boy.
It's like, okay, but so I guess he's mad at that people have beliefs and all beliefs are manufactured and therefore they're all false, which is, he's holding belief. He believes that his eyes correspond to reality, so like his judgment is perfectly correspond to reality. So does that really is not the same thing?
Well, couldn't you then argue that I would go a little bit further and say your words are manufactured for you? So you using the notion of equality in itself affects you with the notion of equality. It's like, you could very well go really, really full-on Whorf hypothesis on this fucker and say that because you know what communism is, therefore you are infected and more likely to turn on communism. If you don't know it, you can't do it. You can't, become a Maoist. You can't become you don't know what racism is unless you experienced racism. And if you can prevent people from experiencing racism, therefore they'll never experience it. It's it'll be racism in name only sort of thing. I don't know. But we're going to move on to the big topic of tonight. The thing that I for those of you out there, I actually decided before we continue, I have created Streamlabs. This will let you donate to me. I could check it every so often. It will not show up on screen right now due to the setup that we have with Luke and what have you. But again, you can donate to me, and I will read it out once I get a chance to. Once I figure this shit out, because let's be frank, I kind of am a tech boomer when it comes to the streaming stuff. I never really got into streaming. Streaming was never like the multimedia angle behind it. I never really got into it. I was more of a service side gamer type guy. So the streaming stuff, yeah, it would benefit me, but at the end of the day, can't do anything about it. So if you want to give a tip, you can give a tip. Nope. There's absolutely no freaking obligation. And at the same time, I am not a whore. I am not a whore. I am not a whore. But I love to do it. So there you go. Anyhow.
Let's see. Apparently Jim Goad is 60-61.
He's 60-61, huh?
Yeah, well, let's see, born supposedly, or no, when was he? James Thaddeus Goad.
Thaddeus, that's fucking wizard talk.
1960 or 1961, I guess.
Oh, really?
Well, whoa, wait a minute. If he's 61, wait a minute. Let me count this right.
How old is
2020? If he's born 1960, wait a minute.
Like, I'm wondering if Goad actually is like the devil that walks across time. He's ageless or some shit like that. That'd be hilarious. Hilarious shit.
Oh yeah, he's 60. He's 50, 60, 61, somewhere around that range.
Damn.
So he's pushing 60.
He's pushing 60. So that's a good thing, I guess. Let me see. I sent you a link, Luke.
To Instagram?
Yep, Instagram.
And what are we looking at today?
Well, we're going to talk about how come the right can't encrypt. For whatever fucking reason, they just cannot encrypt their infrastructure. They can't get this shit set up.
Oh, it's Candace Owens.
It's Little Miss Diversity Hire. That's what she is.
The keynote, more generously, the keynote speaker.
Oh, yeah. Or the keynote speaker. That's very much a better way to describe her, because she is a keynote speaker at the end of the day.
So what you going to tell us?
Well, let's hear what she has to say, because this is the first time I heard of it.
Oh yeah, the Freedom Phone thingy. I have no idea what it is. What is this?
Well, let's hear it. Again, I didn't know what Red was. You're gonna know what the Freedom Phone is. Here you go. Play it.
Okay, Instagram. I'm sorry I kind of look like a dirtbag today, but I'm super excited. It's a very, very big day. Okay, where do I even start? I guess I'll start.
I don't like her jawline. I think she just looks like a really. She looks like a bitch. That's why. She looks like a bitch.
Do all bees look like her, or what? Is there like a bee jawline or something?
She looks like Pennywise, the dancing clown, with her jaw.
Oh, ow!
The new version of it, not Tim Curry, the badass version. No, let's continue.
When Parler got taken out of the App Store, if you're like me, you're just so tired of everyone complaining about these hideous things that happen. Parler gets taken out of the App Store. Trump gets taken off social media. Everyone's like, oh my God, big tech's a problem. Big tech is so bad. And I gotta hate big tech. We gotta fight big tech censorship. Big tech, big tech, big tech. And nobody actually does anything. And Congress does nothing.
She's a bitch. She's a bitch. That's the bitch in her talking. Keep going.
I'm suing the Facebook fact checkers. I take on every single fight. My husband, after January 6th, not before, after, we contacted the people that were running Parler and said, how can we help? And so my husband's now the CEO of Parler. Like, we're do people, not complain people. So I put out basically a call to everyone, and I said, we need to have a phone that is made that is now controlled.
But I do like that, be a doer, not complainer. I do appreciate that mentality.
So hang on. She says we need to make a phone. So is Candace the one who's running this whole fucking phone scam?
Oh, is she?
I'm wondering what are her financial ties to this?
Wait, so let's see what else she has to say.
Let's continue. Yeah.
Apple or Google, and I notoriously tweeted.
Let's see, load faster.
We need.
What is weird? My. Oh wait.
Elon Musk, the e-phone.
Why? Does this thing not load?
The fuck?
I probably should just bite the bullet and get a Cox subscription.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But essentially, what she says is she's basically saying that she's got go on.
Contacted me, my husband, and said, we're making a phone, and it's not going to be controlled by Apple or Google. And I was like, okay, you talk a big game, send us the phones. So
how she's making a phone?
Some of them were absolutely terrible. Some of them were even worse than terrible. Finally, we got a phone, and I cannot be more excited about it. And I'm telling you today, you need to get this phone. I'm so on board.
Oh, she bought the phone.
She bought the phone. Yeah. So apparently
she bought one of these Freedom phones. What is this thingy?
Yeah, let's look at this.
With this, I said I want to be the biggest spokesperson for this phone. Just by the way, give me some credit. I have been on social media for 4 years. You've been following me for 4 years. I have never, ever once, think about how big this is, pitched a product at you. Never, not once. I have
social autopsy. Social autopsy. You pitched a product at people. You did. It may not be the current people, but almost certainly you had pitched a product. This is not hard. Anyhow, keep going.
I don't pitch any products. I'm not here to be an Instagram celebrity and be like, oh my God, let me get you tummy tea. If it does not help save the nation, I don't pitch it. Okay? So I'm serious when I'm telling you to stop everything that you are doing, and I'm holding in my hand, literally, a smartphone that is not controlled by Apple or Google. Okay? So think about this. This is like let me just open it and not put my passcode on the freaking internet so that, I'm not one of those idiots. So this is called the Freedom Phone. If you use my code Candace, you can get 10% off. You go to freedomphone.com.
Chill.
Look at this. Actual smartphone. You're going, that looks like an Android. That's because it is an Android. And you're going, how is that possible? Android, come to find out, is not it's open source, meaning it was created not for Google. Actually, it was created for Microsoft. So unlike the Apple iOS system, unlike the Apple phone, you can rejig this. And this is what this guy, Eric Finman, who I've known for years.
So it's a Microsoft phone?
Brilliant kid.
No. Basically what this guy is, basically what we're dealing with here is that they've reskinned Android. They've basically stripped it of all its Google Analytics at the end of the day. That's what they did. Now, here's the problem. Continue, Candace.
Kid, because he was known as the Bitcoin teenager millionaire. He was like 17 and became a multimillionaire off of Bitcoin, and he's very involved in tech. And he basically figured out that you can. It's a completely different operating system. Rejig the Android, so it's an
so basically
phone,
what?
So what did he do?
He basically he took Android and stripped it of all of its components that were proprietary for Google and made it so that it no longer phones home to Google. It doesn't have pre-installed applications from Google. It's been de-Googled. It's still a phone, and it can still track you, and they can still censor you. And you're gonna realize we're gonna do more research into this, but we're gonna do it live. By the way, continue, Luke.
But
let's hear her.
We'll see some more here.
It's not for Google or by Google. This is a Freedom Phone. I'm holding a freaking phone that is not controlled by Apple or Google. We made the switch immediately. So you're going, how do I make the switch that easily? I'm going to try to answer the first questions that came to my mind, because if you're like me and you're not
okay, so she's explaining the process.
Explain the process.
You know a lot about tech, then you're probably asking the same questions that probably have the same questions going through your head. So the first question I had going through my head is like, how am I going to make my phone? Like, can I keep my number? That was my first question, and I'm sure that I sound like pretty basic. The answer is yes. You literally just
you literally just test
a SIM card. You pop out your SIM card and you insert your SIM card into here. That's it. Suddenly you have this. You will notice that it comes preloaded with these apps. Instagram, I added. I'm going to show you how I did that. They have.
By the way, what is on your SIM card?
Well, your SIM card basically is just your information to let you know that you have a right to be on your cell network. It's a way of identifying you. I think it's a cellular identification module, or serial identification module, I believe.
So you can transfer your number to that phone.
Yes, you can, but here's the thing: it's not just plop it out and plug it in. That's not how it works. You're supposed to call up your company, like for me when I use Metro, I call up, hey, can I please swap phones? Okay, type in your IMED number, IMDE number, I believe it is, off the top of my head, And you can type that in, and then they basically say, okay, so we're going to rewrite your SIM so that way it could work with this phone and not just that. It's not just you could you can't just plop one SIM in from an iPhone and put it into an Android. It doesn't work that way. That's how people steal your SIM card. Because if it ultimately boils down to if they want to steal something, they can just steal your SIM card and you're done. You know, it's a form of security, if you will. So continue.
Instead of the Apple Store or the Google Store, what they've created at the Freedom Phone is the Patriot app. Look at that. So that's literally, these are apps as if I want to download.
Yep.
So Facebook and all that good stuff. Yeah,
which, by the way, if they say it doesn't censor you, here's when they say, you have to understand something about what they say, their claims, because we're not going to continue with this. Wow, she goes on for a while. Woo.
Oh yeah, well, before we go on, the Quartering has an immediate response to this.
Yeah, go right. See what he has to say. I want to hear what Quartering has to say. Go on.
Everyone, Jeremy here from the Quartering, and from time to time, you've got to monitor your own quote-unquote side of things. And while I almost universally support anything that touts anonymity or protects, freedom of speech, this particular push by many people, most of which are conservative leaning, for this idea of a quote freedom phone is very concerning to me, because the idea in and of itself is hilarious. The owner is suspicious, in my opinion. And there are a lot of people pushing this thing. And I just want to take a look at it just so you know before you buy anything. This seems suspect. So the idea is that they're appealing to the Trump supporter crowd, the MAGA crowd. It's a $500 smartphone, okay? Not made in America. From what I've seen, probably made in China, but we'll get to that in a second. The Freedom Phone says it's a free speech and privacy-first focused phone with features like tracking blockers and uncensorable app store. While that sounds great, what I'm concerned about is this phone will become a network for weirdos who like to trade certain type of pictures that should be traded. But the bigger problem will be, if you're not blocking anything from the App Store, how will you protect people against spyware? And it's going to be a haven for that kind of stuff. They claim, of course, it works with Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint, and all other domestic and international carriers. Move phones over in 60 seconds. Well, I've got something for you, an inconvenient truth. They're like, once you're on these people's networks, they have your data anyway.
Yep. And here's the thing. Apparently, it's also a $150 phone, but they're selling it for $500, which would be fine for, again, you have to flash the ROM, and this is a custom ROM. They didn't make this stuff. None of this stuff is made by them. Now, Tim Pool talked about how angry people are getting. Oh, the big tech scared, guys. No, they're not scared. They're laughing at you. Because Tim Pool basically said that, oh, these people, they're so scared of people making their own phones. No, they're not scared of it. They're laughing at you because ultimately, at the end of the day, like Jeremy said, if you're on your cell, there is no anonymity when it comes to the cellular network. Verizon can block 4chan at the IP level if they wanted to. They could block certain sites at the IP level if they wanted to. T-Mobile, fucking any of the Verizon, Sprint, they could all fucking block these access to certain sites at the IP level. Okay. Now there is something to be said about having an Android, let's say, app store that doesn't censor, certain apps such as, Parler or Gab or what have you. Here's the thing, though. You already could install Gab on your phone. There was I think it's a APK package, I believe, you download onto your Android, and then you just unzip it essentially and then install it by manually. They already had that. They already had alternative app stores. They had like the Samsung store. They had the Amazon app store. There were different app stores that existed prior to any of this happening. Nothing of this is new. What is interesting is they are taking a $150 phone that's controlled by the Chinese, made in China, by the way. So God knows what is in there hardware-wise. There could be backdoors, like how Huawei had backdoors on the hardware side of things. At the same time, this is targeted towards conservatives. This is legitimately targeted towards conservatives. So that means whomever is gonna buy this, they're more than likely going to be conservative or privacy minded. You're basically jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire with this. If you install Android, or not Android, if you install, let's say, Google Chrome, they can still send analytics through the app. Now, one of the things they said, well, we have this Trust privacy app, this Trust app on our phone that's proprietary. They'll automatically say, do you want Google to have access to your or Chrome to have access to your file system? Do they want Do you want to hold cookies? Do you not want to hold cookies? Do you want to have Google know your location? You can do this, but they already have that already on Android and on iOS. Any modern phone manages your privilege. They check, you can even check your privileges, Giggity. You could actually get to that. You can. You can actually check your privileges on modern Android phones. Nobody here, nothing that they are doing is any different than any other modern phone. This is a scam. It is a quick cash grab. And the fact of the matter is, and you're going to see this, we're going to pull this up real quick because I got the evidence. By the way, Sean Bateman, let me guess, it comes with a Grindr pre-installed. For all we know, it probably does. But even if it didn't, let's say you installed Grindr, let's say you installed Parler, let's say you installed Instagram, you're automatically sharing your location regardless. Just by virtue of you using that application. You could very well use Instagram through, let's say, the web browser, and that way they only temporarily know your location. But if you have the application installed, it's going to ping every so often to get updates from Instagram. It's going to do that. You're always having that conversation. There's a heartbeat back and forth.
This actually reminds me of an old video Movie Bob did when we talked about the history of Sony and the PC and the PS4. Oh, no, the original history of Sony and the success of the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah, basically a lot of... What's up? Go on, play it.
Gaming can tell you where they went wrong, aside from just failing to produce any major games up front. It wasn't a well-positioned travel device, nobody wanted to rebuy their movies as UMDs, its multifaceted connectivity made it a pirate's dream machine, and it had precious little to offer some of the handheld market's biggest spending niches, younger kids, women, and college-age retro gamers. And that was...
Really?
We're talking about the what was that little device called?
PS1?
The PSP?
Yeah, the PSP was garbage. Like, the only reason I wanted it was so I could hack it and then ultimately have it as an emulator machine. That's all I really... That's what I wanted it for. I just wanted an emulator. I wanted to play Tetris. I wanted to play Mario Brothers. I wanted to play... And kind of... At this point, I might actually purchase one on eBay. I might do that. I might do that just for the hell of it.
So is this what you look forward to on the Freedom Phone as well?
No, what I'm gonna go. This is the Freedom Phone right here. This is the actual website here.
Let me take a look. See what is. So what does the website say?
Well, the website.
Your connectivity is not private.
What?
Well, I'm using Brave. And it says your connectivity is not private. Attackers might be trying to steal your information from freedomphone.com. For example, passwords, messages, or credit cards.
Let me double check that. If I get the same fucking... I do not get the same thing. That is fucking weird.
Is it just me, or is it...
It may very well just be you. Wow.
Let's see. I'll advance.
I said... Let me double check this. Let me double check this, see if I got the exact same...
I'll open up in another browser, see if it's the same thing.
Yeah. This is some freaky shit.
Let me see.
Because they're like I really do believe that this guy, this gentleman who's the, like, again, once you see the piece of shit, you're going to realize how dangerous.
But just out of curiosity, what internet connection do you, what internet provider do you have?
Comcast. And again, this is a perfect example of people censoring people at the IP level, which Freedom Phone cannot protect you against.
Well, yeah,
they can't.
I have a CenturyLink, so I'm not sure if that's like different.
Well, perhaps CenturyLink is trying to censor it. Perhaps they actually are trying to censor your information. I mean, like I said, Verizon at one point did block 4chan on the IP level.
To get Chrome's highest level of security, turn on enhanced protection. Huh.
It don't matter. Again, ladies and gentlemen, here you go. It's in the chat. You can follow along with us if you want. It's ban-free, uncensorable app store. Our own app store. Read what you like. Watch what you like. Think what you like. Nothing is censored. Well, guess what? If somebody, let's say, decides to put let's say they remake Tetris or they remake Pac-Man and they put it on the fucking phone. It's free. Guess what? They managed to put in a Bitcoin miner in the code of the game. Are you going to ban them despite the fact that they're on the level about it? They tell you, oh, yeah, we put a Bitcoin miner in it. That's how we make our revenue. That's how we pay back our way on this app. And that Bitcoin miner is mining your phone. It's taking away resources, even when you are not using that application. Let's suppose that everything is up front. They're not lying. Should they ban it? Well, then guess what? If you ban it, it automatically considered it's already considered being censored. Let's say I make a piss poor app that doesn't work. You're gonna ban it? You're gonna kick it off? Oh, you're being censored. Like, legitimately, there is no way you could fight against this. There's no way you could tell me with a straight face that this is even doable. I think they're gonna get sued. I think they really are gonna be sued by this shit. I think they're going to, they're gonna get sued so bad. Promoting freedom of speech, preloaded apps, some of the most popular banned and unbanned conservative app sites and apps preloaded directly onto your phone. By the way, these things share your cookies. They can track you on this. They absolutely could. Improved a free speech first operating system, which by the way is bullshit. They said we've developed the first mass marketable mobile operating system based on freedom of speech. Bullshit. Bullshit. That's bullshit marketing, and you fucking know it. Bullshit. CyanogenMod. CyanogenMod. Do you know what CyanogenMod is?
No.
CyanogenMod. CyanogenMod. CyanogenMod is a discontinued open source operating system for mobile devices based on Android mobile platform. It was developed as a free and open source software based on the official releases of Android by Google, with additional original third-party code based on a rolling release development model. Although only a subset of CyanogenMod users elected to report their use of the firmware in March 23rd of 2015, some reports indicated that over 50 million people ran CyanogenMod on their phones. It was also frequently used as a starting point for developers of other ROMs. So what exactly separates CyanogenMod from the rest of the thing? Well, you basically have control of your phone. It's like a computer. You have root access, meaning that you have the ability to. Well, I'll just read off the features. Here you go, Luke. I'll send you a link here. You can read some of this as well. In 2013, a founder, Stephanie Kondik, obtained a venture funding under the name Cyanogen Inc. to allow commercialization of the project. However, the company did not, in her view, capitalize on the project's success, and in 2016, she left and was forced out as part of a corporate restructure, which involved a change of CEO, closure of offices, projects, censures, what have you. CyanogenMod offered features and options not found in official firmware distributed by mobile device vendors. Features supported in CyanogenMod include native theme support, FLAC, access point name list, privacy guard, which it says right here, per application permission management application, which basically means if I don't want Google to have access to, let's say, my files when I don't authorize it. So every time I try to upload, let's say, an image via Google Chrome, it will prompt me, do you want to give Google Chrome access to this? Click allow. That's what that is. Now, here's the thing. This existed back in 2015. This existed way before the fucking the Freedom OS or Freedom Phone OS. Like, again, there's nothing new under the sun here. A lot of this is buzzwords and marketing. And that should scare you, given what I'm going to say next. Luke, have you found a way to get onto the app yet?
Hold on, I'll see about that. The phone? A Freedom Phone thingy?
Yeah, here you go.
I'll just see if I can open it.
Here you go. Show that up if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, Freedom Phone with Freedom Fries. I got to go work tomorrow. God bless. You know what? Awesome. I'm going back to work tomorrow. I'm actually going back to my my office tomorrow. So I got to cut short myself tonight. So we're gonna finish up this Google phone thing, and then we're gonna head on out. But give me 1 second.
So it's just a picture of the phone, or what is this?
It's just a picture of the phone. Show it.
Once again, they're not letting me. Like, the internet is really getting picky about what images can be opened and downloaded.
Yeah, it really is getting, it's fucking disgusting, to be honest with you.
I mean, I can get it, but it just takes a couple more steps.
Yep. Let me see if I can find the actual clip of it.
Here it is. All right, so here we go. And what is what's so special with this phone design we're looking at here?
Well, first off, it's the fact that that you could literally buy that on Alibaba for $150. It's being sold on the Freedom Phone store for $500 per phone. It is literally a Udemy Freedom Phone. Let me see if I can find it here. Here we go. If I can find it. It's a Udemy. This is the same fucking phone, by the way. Here you go. This is the same phone. This right here. Give me one.
Like, it actually, CenturyLink actually blocks me step by step, saying this is not safe. This is not safe.
Wow.
Like first it was just that white screen, but then it went to CenturyLink, like put its own logo and said, "This is not safe. This is not safe. Please go back to safety."
Dude, maybe CenturyLink is censoring you. This very well could be.
Or is it censoring me, or is it just censoring like the particular site because the site's not reliable?
So this, I don't know. Maybe it's going to take time for them to get the HTTPS credentials down or recognized. It may take time. Here's another thing I can show you. This is from Udemy. This is the UMeDigi A11. It's the same phone. It's the exact same fucking phone. It's the same motherfucking phone.
It is? Oh, it is. Yeah, there's the same camera shape that was on the.
It's the same fucking camera. Guess how much it costs?
How much does it cost?
$100. So we're supposed to believe that this Bitcoin billionaire is worth, his product is worth $400 in parts and labor. That's what we're supposed to believe. Now I don't know if that's picky, fuck piggy, or if that's just fucking capitalism and the nature of the beast. I don't know. Welcome.
Let's see. So if I want, which one should I buy it from? Let's see how much it is. Let's see, AliExpress. Which one?
Yeah, you can get this on AliExpress for next to nothing.
Oh, let's see. Let's see what Amazon says.
Just don't install Google Apps. Exactly. But you could do that on your own phone right now. You can do that on your own phone.
Oh, Amazon's selling it for $230.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the specs are their shit. We don't know what the specs are yet. We can assume that they're just buying off of fucking. They're just taking a dummy phone and then adding their own custom ROM on there. Custom Android ROMs for the win. I use Lineage OS on my phone. No Google telemetry. Exactly. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. See, the thing is that, again, like I said, the right cannot encrypt. They don't understand how technology works. It's really sad, and I don't know what it is, but it's getting to the point where the pagans have more technological know-how than the average fucking right-winger. And that should scare the shit out of you, because the pagans, you know, that's a stereotype we have about them. They don't know technology. They don't understand it. They're always behind in that regard. They're technologically illiterate to the point where it actually might harm them. Unfortunately, at least the pagans don't know, so they don't actually buy into it. They don't really have the desire. They'll buy a fucking Mac. This shit right here, this is how you rip off the right. This is grifting if I've ever fucking saw it, and don't buy into it. Burger King nationalism says this is a honeypot. And guess who fucking is part of it? That little fucking skank, Candace Owen.
People watch InfoWars, and they said, you know what?
Yeah, people who watch InfoWars, right? Which, by the way, you can install the InfoWars app by manually. You could do it on your own phone right now. You don't need an app store. You just need to understand that, you know, if you install it from, let's say, InfoWars site, there may be a chance that the app doesn't work or something along those lines. Without a repository, which is what the Google store is, and as well as the Aurora store, as well as a bunch of the Freedom store, that all basically is a repository for information. That's it. The right needs technology. We need to fight fire with fire. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I agree with you. That's why I'm trying to help them. That's why I'm calling out this bitch who, let's be frank with ourselves, this is not her first rodeo with grifting on tech. That whole fucking, what was it? social autopsy. This fucking cunt was pushing the social autopsy crap back in the day. We remember you, okay? So, like, and now let's move on to the guy who actually ran this site, who's running this site, who's running this whole thing. This is the maker, Eric Finnan. You could take a picture of this guy and put him on screen. You could show his face. This guy is a fucking dude, bro. No, not even a dude, bro. He's like a cuck, bro, or something along those lines. He's not a dude. He's a dude cuck, I guess. I don't know. But also, coincidentally, he has a check mark, so keep that in mind. That is the youngest billionaire out there. You know, being rich is kind of fucking overrated at this point, you know? Making money just to survive is wonderful in an economy where you can't really save for anything. But this guy right here is a perfect example of why we should not consider the rent seekers, the money managers, the banksters in the same vein as the captains of industry. They really aren't. They're just people who you know, they provide a service, and their service is so fundamentally necessary that it basically is taken for granted and should be taken for granted. It's nothing special that you just bought me money, honey. It really isn't. Youngest Bitcoin millionaire. Bio here. And of course it fucking says in Business Insider, because apparently that's a fucking valid site source.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why
I think it's so wrong. It's like that fucking, I don't know if he's Swedish or something along those lines. I'm getting a little bit of a Swede divide off him. He's like, that's so wrong. That's just so bad. It's not good. That's wrong.
The Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did.
You did not. You didn't build that. You didn't build, to quote Obama, you didn't build that. Somebody else helped you. Like, legitimately, somebody else helped this guy. He did not build that. He did not build it. First off, he basically got a computer like a Dell, and I say a Dell because that's really what this is. He flashed his own operating system, his own variant of Linux. He did not build the kernel for Linux. He did not build let's say, the application store. He more than likely sourced it, changed a few things rather, and then put it out there and sold it. Now, the question here, this is why I think he's going to get sued, is because how much did he change? And if the coding is so different, at what point can he claim it's his own thing? Bitcoin millionaire, lol. I use Moderno, by the way. Awesome, bro. And by the way, links in the description. You could donate if you wanted to. I made that specifically last week. I said I was going to do it. You can do that. I made this phone. No, you did not make this phone. Someone else made it. In fact, and again, because it's open source, they literally did make it software-wise. It was already created. There are people who deserve attribution. And I'll be frank with you, this is really grifty. It really is at the end. I keep playing. Look.
Is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned,
what do you mean by uncensored? If I, let's say, a Mario game, or I port a thing that's actually, you know, a clone of Pac-Man, like I said, and I make it so it mines Bitcoin and uses your system as a let's say slave or what have you to mine Bitcoin while you use the phone, or even when you don't use the phone, are you going to ban me? It's not illegal. It's you signed the EULA. There has to be some standard here. Sean Bateman, 2010 says North Korea did something similar a few years back. Claimed they have developed a tablet, but it just was a rebranded Chinese tablet. Yeah, you know, this is like North Korean levels of grifting, isn't it? It really is. It's like trying to claim Kim Jong-un as God, and I'm like, that fat fuck ain't God. He ain't even the Buddha. So, continue, Luke.
You can still download it on ours because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking. Because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules.
Hang on. You mean like fucking Brave? That's what it is. It's Brave. And they already have that on Google. They already have that on Apple. Any modern phone of the era has that. Like, again, and this is where, you know, the right needs to get its shit in order. It really, really needs to get its shit in order, because guess what? They keep doing this shit. They keep pushing this crap. Oh, Burger King nationalism. Thank you for $2. Thank you. Thank you very much. You got our first ticket. Our first donor.
Any quotes?
Did you leave any? I'm looking for the quotes right now. I'm looking for the super chats. Thank you. What was your? He says message. Here is some bucks, Bucko, or here's some bucks, bro. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. You don't have to give. Like I said, if you want to give, you can give. I'm not a whore, but I like to do it. There you go. Any case, thank you very much, Burger King, and that's how we're gonna do it. We're not gonna have like something all out there unless, you know, I give. I might, again. We're figuring this out. We're figuring this out, but we're not using super chat. Thank you, King. Thank you, King. No, you're the Burger King. I'm a king. You're the Burger King. You're the king, man. No, but let's continue, Luke. Let's see what Wesley has to say.
Is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras.
Super fast processor.
Transfers into the Freedom.
Notice how he's not using any actual like good adjectives to describe what he's talking about. Notice how nothing he is saying makes any sense. Nothing. There's no way to measure it. It's super fast. Well, what is super fast? In the 1990s, the Pentium 4 was the fucking thing. It was the bee's knees. Now we're talking like octa-core, hexacore, fucking, you know, hyper-threading. What is it fast? Why is it fast? How fast is it? No specs are released yet. And that's something that is really fucking, it's very disconcerting. Especially since people are saying this is the Fed phone. This is a Fed phone. And you know, here we go. Let me look at this. Here you go, Luke. I'll keep playing it, by the way.
Freedom phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
And that is some fucking grade tier sophistry. Great, or like high tier fucking bait right there. Like, again, here you go. Here's another link for you, Luke. Oh, this is from the same. This is right below it. If you look right below it, if you want.
All right.
Our design team in the U.S. Our design team in the U.S. scoured the U.S. to find a manufacturer that was able to make a phone at the scale we need. But we found a horrible truth. The United States at scale is not capable of making a phone. Motorola will poured billions and failed. Google's Motorola Mobility to close factory in Texas.
Huh.
You know, not only are we buying our freedom back from the Chinese at a fucking premium, mind you, but apparently this is supposed to be freedom oriented. So I gotta ask the question: how much of this shit is gonna have backdoors from the Chinese? We already know that we're buying their technology.
Here it is. We ended up finding an incredible manufacturer with the freedom-loving people of Hong Kong. where my design team and them work to make a spectacular phone with better internals than they've used on a phone before.
Right.
We went through the supply chain with a fine-tooth comb and made sure any chips and other internals were replaced if they did not meet our security analysts. They have representatives that monitor the productivity at the factory, and the best has yet to come.
Yeah, what a douche. She's right. You're absolutely right. Look at this Chinese phone I made. Look. It keeps my safe. It keeps you safe, Whitey. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It really, really is fucking dangerous that these people are pushing. It really, like, you got to ask yourself, are these people this stupid, or is there some malicious intent here? Because I'm cybersecurity, because I wanted to be part of cybersecurity for the longest time, and I studied this shit. This to me is either gross negligence or stupidity.
Oh, here it is. One of the first comments is, "You did none of this. It's a Brie brand phone drop ship from China," which is there's the same link there that you had.
You didn't build that. I gotta play the clip now. You didn't build that, Obama. You didn't build that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'll play this for you. Here you go, Luke. We gotta play it. We got, like, from now on, we have to shame these people, and this will get under their skin. You know, you can call them racial slurs or whatever you want, diversity hire. This, no, I'm gonna have to. Here we go. Here we go. Play it, Luke.
If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life.
Chinaman building stuff in the factory. Keep going.
This unbelievable American system that we have that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
I still want to punch him in the face for that.
Yeah, well, hey, believe me, but in this case, it is true. They didn't build this. Now, I want to know, did they roll their own version of Linux, or I guess you say Android? They made it themselves? And if they made it themselves, and they got the repository together, they said, okay, we're going to use this driver, we're going to use this type of browser, this, and they made it themselves. Doesn't mean they wrote the code. It doesn't mean they made it. Now, what I've heard is that they're making this political, which to me is just like, again, I swear to you, conservative has become punk. It has become punk, and like punk, there were a few people at the beginning who were really, really important, really interested. They wanted to change the world. They wanted to live by the punk aesthetic of doing DIY. But now everyone's selling us punk. I mean, for fuck's sake, you could buy traditionalist wife fucking clothing, like the flower dress in the fucking, like you could buy it. Just like I could buy, like, the notion I'm a rebel by getting a bunch of horns and, like, act like I'm tough and shit. Same thing. Triple X says, did you already talk about the George Floyd mural getting struck by lightning?
Oh, what?
You know about this, Luke?
Wait, George, what happened? What happened?
Okay, so apparently there was a mural created by George Floyd. Or not created. It was a mural of George Floyd being created. And apparently, like, the wall that was built on was like a fence, so like a brick fence. It was struck by lightning. Like, there was clouds that came together, and it was God destroyed. God fucking destroyed the temple, Lord. He smite the fucking heathen.
Honored George Floyd. Now, we know it was struck by lightning. Now what we want to know tonight is what's next for it. Carla Byron is live at Summit and LaGrange in North Toledo to try to help us answer that tonight. And Carla, you got a chance earlier today to talk to the artist.
Please have a before shot of it, please.
Did he tell you what's next?
David Ross says he plans on redoing the mural somewhere in the city, and once again, it will center around George Floyd. He says he'll incorporate a double rainbow into the new mural because the same day—
a double rainbow!
Oh, here
wow.
it is. Oh, sir, why did they draw him with the busy no signal image from TV? Like look, this is what it was before. It's like his face over the. Wow, is very particular on the face part too.
Yeah, it's again. The thing that really pisses me off is that this is probably the first time that we have a porn star having a mural made out of him. Like, he's a porn star. Yeah, that we know of, right? Let's see.
We saw a double rainbow. Our first alert meteorologist was able to confirm a negatively charged lightning strike did hit at the corner of Summit and LaGrange 4:30 p.m. yesterday, debunking any questions or concerns this may have been an individual's doing. Ross also wants to put the new mural somewhere where he says everyone will appreciate it. And a spokesperson for the city tells me that building officials here have determined that
there's on City Hall. Tempt the Lord thy God. No, build it like I want to like see some fucking like Samson motherfucker, like some like Jewish like Orthodox guy with the little curly hair, go out and like in the middle of and just push the fucking like do the whole Samson option thing. Okay, I want to see that. Because just give God a reason, man. If he gets struck down again, holy hell, I will be a believer more than I am right now. Okay, like you've gained faith, you've gained conviction from just viewing the awesome power of God or nature, if you will. Like legitimately, like this. We are in some interesting fucking times.
It would be so much funnier if they said that the weather or God became a white supremacist. You just know someone.
Well, he is a Jew.
You just know that some nature out there, and some SJW is saying that nature is white supremacist.
It is because we're genetically superior to them, right? That's like the Nazis were talking about all the time. They were telling the truth, right?
I swear. Like the way they talk about like these Marxists, the way they talk about capitalism and white supremacy and how it can always emerge everywhere and how it's absolute control over everything, they make it sound cool. They make this something that's supposedly so evil, so attractive. Like that being a white supremacist capitalist sounds like the thing to be.
It really does, and I kind of like. Well, let me just say this: being the bad guy, especially their version of the bad guy, is actually really cool. Because let's be frank, they are the delusional ones that think that they are the hero. They are not the hero. We are the fucking dashing rogues. We are the fucking artistic laymen. We are the people out there who are going around and fucking their shit up. Like I legitimately don't like. I got a lot of shit from my friend of mine, basically telling me I was very opinionated, and I'm thinking to myself, there is some truth, some validity to what is being said there. There is some truth about the validity of that, but mostly due to the fact because I have the right opinions, and I also at the same time don't really have opinions. Like to me, an opinion is Beethoven is better than Mozart, but there are facts when I say George Floyd was a porn star. That's a fact. Yes. Now whether I want to, feminism was based off of Marxist theory. That's a fact. Black Lives Matter doesn't give a fuck about black people. That's a fact.
Another Marxist theory.
Yeah. SJWs are genetic failures. That's why they promote evil and degeneracy. Nah, I don't want to go that far, buddy. I don't want to go that far. But I will say this. They are almost certainly collectivists. So these people, I want to say they're like a tribal, like imagine a gathering, they're like a tribal race, if that makes any sense. So they get synergy off of each other. They're like merfolk.
And very importantly, these people, since they are collectivists, they believe that society can only be made possible through collective means, that you cannot have any civil society outside the collective.
Well, there's a certain level of collectivist notions that need to be protected. That is true. You need to have that. You need to have a lie that's agreed upon. You need to have a canon. You need to have you need to have this. You need to be able to have a cohesive society. You have to have something that we all agree upon. It can't just, we have to agree that, all animals are equal and some are more, and even if we do agree that some are more equal than others, well, that contradicts itself, doesn't it?
Yep.
I mean, it's like Animal Farm with these fucking people. No, but we're going to continue to move on but before we continue to put a nail in the coffin on this, I want to show you the king himself. Let me show you the King Slay. Here you go. This is regarding the whole Freedom Phone. This will put it to bed. And this is from the glorious man himself, Richard Stallman. I mean Joseph. No, that's Richard Stallman, not Joseph Stallman. Although they are both Jews, so I mean, there's that. There you go.
We refuse to give up your freedom at all. By the way, when people are leaving, please do notice the stickers that are up there. take stickers if you can use them. And also, there are still the buttons and pins and key rings and books in the back that you can buy.
First off, I was going to live blog this using my Exo Linux laptop, but the battery wasn't charged, so I had to resort to my
It's the GNU operating
system. So I had to resort to my iPod. And you mentioned you wouldn't accept one as a gift, and I did accept a jailbroken.
iPod, I'm not completely sure because I don't think those are platforms for installing programs.
Yeah, you can on the Touch you can install applications just like you can on an iPad.
Okay. Then I certainly wouldn't accept that.
So I accepted a jailbroken iPad as a gift. Would you consider that as acceptable?
If you run it with free software and replacing Apple's operating system.
Yeah, to some extent it's replaced. It's partially replaced.
Well,
so
only partly.
What do you do for
have non-free software in there.
Yeah.
Now, there are two different issues here. One is if something's a computer, I won't accept it if it has non-free software in its system or its applications. My computer has I chose this computer because even the BIOS is free. I have no free drivers, I have no proprietary drivers, no proprietary applications, no proprietary nothing. I wouldn't accept a jailbroken iPad because it still would have proprietary software in it. So it would still be a giant ethical step down from where I am now. And I wouldn't do that. But the second issue is, suppose something is not a computer. Its job doesn't include installing programs to run. It might be built with a computer inside, but that doesn't directly concern the user. For those things, the question is, does it have malicious features? For instance, is it designed to restrict you or not? Now that is a meaningful question regardless of whether it's built with a computer. It could be built with a special purpose circuit and still designed to restrict you. Hardware and software can both have malicious features. So you always have to raise that question, even if the device isn't a computer as such.
So what do you do about a cell phone?
Well, I don't have a cell phone because they all have malicious features. They're tracking and surveillance devices.
He's not wrong.
Are computers.
He's not wrong, and this is the reason why, God bless this guy. I mean, he's getting old. He's one of the old, I guess, Gen X or Boomer types. But again, this guy is very memeable. Holy hell! Like he is. He's kind of a Spurg, but he's a Spurg in all the right ways. He's not wrong. Like I said, they don't ban anything in this store. So what's to say that I put a code that I say I'm gonna, sap your phone's battery life and a bunch of other shits in the background. I put it on there. You get to play your game as it is, but part of hosting my software on your device, I need to make sure that I can mine Bitcoin using your IP address and your machine, as well as using up your bandwidth. Think about that. And you signed a contract. Are you going to ban me? Oh, okay. There's no way to audit it. And that's one of the cool perks about free software. And maybe conservatives will get into free software. Maybe they will become the Linux people. They might. I mean, I've already seen enough people try in my church, my traditional Catholic church, get into Linux. There's a definite benefit to having Linux and having open source information, especially nowadays with all the fucking spyware. I can remember saying I never was going to upgrade to Windows 8 simply because I didn't want to have the browser feature basically spy on me. The reason it was spying on me was because it could be used to say if I was viewing child porn. And again, not saying I'm pro child porn. I'm saying that the fact that they could view something that I'm looking at, send that telemetry back to Microsoft, and Microsoft says, "Oh, this guy's looking at kiddie porn. Let's fucking get rid of him." And then it turns out it's actually just lolly, and it was something that my friend sent me. You could argue whether it's actual child or not. It doesn't really fucking matter. Point is that do you really want to give Microsoft that ability to judge you? Do you really want to roll those dice? Because again, they could change the operating system terms of service on the fly and say to you, we're gonna change it, and we get to find the final say. You don't get to represent yourself in court. Do you sign here? Of course you sign here, because it's like in fucking the South Park where they had the whole centipad, the human centipad, where they basically had everyone because apparently Kyle or whatever the hell character signed an end user license agreement stating that he can now be hooked up to the human centipede. Like legitimately, there's a legit, because most of the people can't sue. They can't fight back against Apple because they've already signed these end user license agreements. But anyway, keep going with this, Solomon.
And just a quick aside. I knew. Well, I should have known earlier that they were tracking devices because when I got my new phone, I didn't even have to turn on it keeps track of your steps and your health. I didn't even have to turn it on when I got my phone.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, it could have been left on because I don't remember ever. The thing is, I knew it was tracking me before, or it was tracking my steps before, but I don't remember ever turning it on before.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very weird.
Those are so-called smartphones. They're platforms for installing software. So I wouldn't accept one of those unless it was all free software. But even the cell phones that are not computers, that don't offer the possibility of installing any software, they're still tracking devices, and they might be surveillance devices too. Some cell phones can be turned on remotely in eavesdropping mode. They can listen to all the conversation around the user. It's not just what's said into the microphone. If it's in the room, it can transmit all the conversation in the room. So it doesn't just have a bug, it is a bug.
And just so people...
I'm not going to carry around such a device. And I'm sure 20 years ago, if all of you who were old enough to care about this issue had been asked, would you want to carry a device that would always be telling some big company where exactly you are and could be used to listen to conversation around you? You would have said, absolutely not. And yet most of you are doing exactly that. Well, not me.
And just so people know that you're not being paranoid, there's a Green politician in Germany who acquired his cell phone history recently, and you can go to a website and it has his daily travels and motions on an interactive map.
There are viruses for some cell phones, and those viruses, some of them install eavesdropping software, so people with no particular official connection to the victim have been able to listen to their phone calls and to their conversations as well, even when they're not making a phone call as far as they know. Well, yes. How often do you take the battery out of your tracking device?
You can't, not anymore. I mean, even the fucking iPhone I have, you can't take out the battery. You can disconnect the battery, but then you have to open up the phone, right? Same thing with a lot of these other phones. You can't disconnect them. They're just not, it's not capable. You're not capable to actually disconnect it. It's really horrible. It's horrible. It really is horrible at the end of the day. So there is a lot of information here. But yeah, if you ever want, if for any conservative out there, if you're really concerned about privacy, you want to go into where the people of 4chan go, where I wouldn't say the wild things, but where the civilized men are. And I'll say the civilized men because let's be frank, these people have more in common with scientists than they do with wild men, like of let's say of the Northwest or what have you. They're not the frontiersmen. They're more like they're more like corpos. They're not corpos. They're more like if we're in a let me say this. If we're in a cyberpunk reality, these are the people you need to hang out with. This guy right here, he understands exactly what is at risk. People who are, police officers know what's at risk when they encounter, let's say, certain criminals and certain behavior. There's certain repeat patterns of behavior. This guy knows exactly what you're dealing with when it comes to computers. He understands the risks that are involved by having, proprietary software, i.e., basically the recipe for the code or the product in this case, like the recipe for Microsoft Word. If you can't see it, it will if you can't see that code, you could be consuming and giving your computer something that could actually hurt it at the end of the day or harm it. It's like how when let's say it's like cooking. You have your own recipes and you could publish those recipes. Microsoft doesn't tell you what they publish in their fucking their food in their code. They don't tell you. So that should immediately scare you, So while I do believe that we do need Freedom Phone, we need something like it. I think it's more or less. It would be better if the guy. Let me just say this: if the Bitcoin billionaire is listening, or if anyone's listening, buy a bunch of random. I guess it'd be like a phone flasher. Like if you found it'd be like a USB hub where you could flash a bunch of the same ROMs to the different phones. Do that. Have one of those.
But if this whole thing, if the whole Freedom Phone is just a scam, then why do it? I want to say it's like a pretext because there is no way to actually stop the censorship or to stop the control, and so he's just trying to hawk it. You're just trying to hawk it like wares.
they're trying to hawk wares, I guess you could say, or they very well could be trying to just take. They could very well just be trying to, make a quick buck. It could very well be a surveillance thing. It could very well be a Fed op. There are people out there calling this a fucking op, and I don't blame them because this looks too stupid to be fucking real. And if it just so happens to be incompetence behind this, I wouldn't be surprised that people are going to get sued. And get this, if you can't go to the Freedom Phone page, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, but Luke couldn't get there because his Century Wireless,
CenturyLink.
Yeah, CenturyLink censored him. Apparently, they said that it's not safe to go to Freedom Phone. So keep that in mind. I don't know if any of you have the same problem, but me being on Comcast, I'm not being censored in that regard. Now, what is interesting is if you go down to the page and you look at like their terms of service, they say that if, let's say, our company gets bought out or bellies up, if someone comes out and buys them, they will give all your personal data, your docs, essentially, to that company. They've already said that. So that means that, if let's say a subsidiary of Google or Alphabet wants to purchase them, they could purchase it and all your data is given to them. They do handle your privacy data. They do handle your money. They do handle your financial data, your location data. Somebody does. So you could go like Stallman and just say, I'm gonna get a dumb phone, which should be your best bet, by the way. Get a dumb phone for your everyday carry, and then have a cell phone. Like myself, I have to have a cell phone simply because of the nature of my work. But for those of you who could get a dumb phone, by all means, get a dumb phone. You could take the battery out of some of those things. Hey, I'll keep going with Stallman.
Or do you have anything else to say, or?
I think he's basically done at that point.
Well, I don't have one either. See, that's the real solution. Well, yes. How often do you take the battery out of your tracking device? You see, what did you say? Well, I don't have one either. See, that's the real solution. You know what?
Somebody back there is listening to me and talk to you.
Well, I don't mind if they hear me here. This is good. This is being recorded for publication. This is a public speech. Big Brother's men would be welcome to sit in the audience. This is not a model for all of life.
He's not wrong. But the real issue, and again, like I said, there's a reason why we say that the right can't encrypt, is because this is a common fucking thing we're seeing on the right. They don't understand technology on the fundamental level. And to prove my point, here you go. Here you go, Luke.
And what is
everyone's favorite cunt. Everyone's favorite alien girl. Space alien chick. Gray alien. But we're not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to get to the middle of it because he's going to start talking. They're going to advocate censorship. But they're going to talk about it.
Lauren Chen is going to advocate censorship.
Yep. Go about to, I'd say, 4 minutes in, and we're going to watch it from there. Speed it up.
Let's see, what is this? Michael Knowles, 4 minutes in.
Abed from fucking Community. That's what he is. He's the guy he's the Indian kid from Community. Pull up that picture and see if I can find it. I'll find it for you. Keep playing it.
So what's the deal?
Version of conservatism that is actually libertarianism. And I firmly believe the right to use whatever tools we have at our disposal to fight back against the left. But I mean, we have people like David French saying, no, it's actually the conservative position to not ban critical race theory in schools, i.e. to allow it to keep being taught. And it's just, are there specific politicians right now that you see as kind of implementing this strategy?
The effective strategy or the squishy strategy?
Both.
But so I'll answer it by getting to your point on David French. I was going to try to be nice. I was going to try to not name names, but David's a big boy and he's made these claims. And one of the claims he's made is very famously or infamously is that drag queen story.
Blessing of liberty.
It's a blessing of liberty. I mean, I can hear James Madison turning in his grave at that very suggestion. But it's not just David who's made this argument. There are many other people, and maybe they just came to this crazy idea honestly, but it's still wrong. What they say is secular liberalism is a totally neutral playing ground, and it's totally a fair fight between the radicals and the conservatives. And if we tell these perverts that they can't twerk for toddlers at the public library, why, they might tell us that we can't go to church on Sunday. And my answer to that is always, first of all, they're already telling us we can't go to church on Sunday. They shut down the churches here for a year in a lot of places.
And what stopped you? Legitimately, by the way, that's Abed from fucking what's it? Fucking Community. It's a great show, by the way. Same guy who did Rick and Morty, apparently. Same producer, I believe. A real good show. I like it. Here's the thing, though. They did exist back in the time of the Founding Fathers. They were called the Hellfire Club. Go look those fuckers up if you want to see what we're talking about. Bunch of libertine hedonists. Now, I do believe there needs to be a separation between libertarianism and libertinism, because that's what they're basically talking about, being libertines. The notion of, Marquis de Sade, not fucking Ayn Rand, And too many times do people give into their baser instincts, and no, not base like that's awesome. More baser like in the sense of animalistic. So keep playing.
Arrested. Oh yeah, they
Yes.
have arrested pastors.
They've arrested prominent pastors, so they're already doing it. But even so, are you really telling me that people do not possess the faculties of reason and the moral judgment to distinguish between drag queen story hour and going to church? Are you telling me that it is not legitimate for us to discern between perverts twerking their bodies in front of 2-year-olds and a pastor exegeting the Bible? If that is the case, and I understand that there are a number of people who believe that, that's fine. I understand your point, but then you have to admit that self-government is not possible. Because self-government relies on the idea that we have faculties of reason, we actually can think our way through the world, we have moral judgment, we can discern, not perfectly, but pretty well, between good and bad, and when we decide that certain things are true, and certain things are right, and certain things are good, then we encourage those things through our politics, and we discourage things that are false and wicked and wrong. So,
and welcome to ontological relativity. Like legitimately, welcome to not ontological relativity, moral relativism, because that already exists, and that's a byproduct of multiculturalism, I bet. And those are, I assume, are the Hellfire Club, right?
The real one that won the top is from the X-Men one.
Well, so basically, yeah, we're more than likely going to encounter the X-Men ones, but continue.
The two trick options, right? The swishy one and the no standards one. But I think there's this third option, which is what conservatives used to do, namely articulate a substantive moral vision of politics, defend actual standards, say some things are good, some things are wrong, we're going to encourage the former and discourage the latter, and actually stand for something. Because I think the plain fact is that freedom of
I've actually been asking myself the same question recently because of the political meetups I've been going to.
Really?
Yeah, because
what would the question be?
The question originally came up about the notion of legalizing prostitution, and from my perspective, I don't really see any legal or moral benefit to normalizing or legalizing prostitution. So I made the offhand comment of, well, okay, maybe we can legalize it, but we have to tax it 75%. And I said, well, no, there will be a class action lawsuit against it because it affects disproportionately women. But the whole conversation was about the libertines, the people who have the American liberty of libertinism, was always going to win out because it's two consenting adults, they can do whatever they want. But no civilization. No great civilization built itself on sexual promiscuity.
Burger King nationalism. Is Lauren Shin a normie grifter? She looks like one. She's sleeping with her producer. We don't know when she started sleeping with her producer, but she apparently married him. Whether that makes any sense in judgment or not, whether they're just marrying because they're trying to get ahead and they're trying to sell the traditional lifestyle to you. Make of that as you will, but I called it out. I got called for being I guess a sexist sort of, because I wanted to get in with her pants because I was just jealous. When in reality, it's the same reason I called out Zoe Quinn back in the day. It's a violation of journalistic integrity. If people are sleeping in their way into the fucking top so they could get on Greg Gutfeld or fucking Tucker Carlson, there's a problem with our fucking politicos, and this is one of the reasons why I say no. Politicos are gay. Fuck the gurus. Anyone who tries to help you is usually trying to sell you some sort of self-help book. Fuck the gurus. Anyhow, continue.
Speech in the abstract means absolutely nothing for people who have nothing to say.
And that's interesting because I recently interviewed Michael Malice. Love him too. He is also a fiery one. Got to watch who I'm having on. I'm increasingly upsetting the YouTube gods, I think. But he is so fed up with the left. He is so done. He's pushing the idea of a national divorce with the things you've just outlined. Conservatives actually trying to stick by their principles instead of just caving in or going full on libertarian. Do you think there is a chance of a conservative revival or any type of reconciliation with the left right now?
I do. I do not advocate a national divorce. I advocate a national takeover. I advocate recovering in our culture that which the left kind of foisted on us.
I want to talk about the story working.
I also don't want a national divorce because it would be ugly and violent, and I think
it would be. No, that Mr. Knowles, you and I can agree upon.
But armed
I don't
conflict
want
never armed conflict. Yeah, armed conflict never goes the way you want to.
Think of it, and anyone who says otherwise, riddle me this. What's going to happen when the world's most powerful nuclear-armed superpower goes to war with each other, and nukes could very well be cut? You could send in, like, let's say the Spetsnaz or the Rush or the Chinese. They could they could steal one of our nukes, and none of us would know about it while we're fighting each other. So what's going to happen? To prevent that from happening, they'll call in the UN and say, we need to send in UN to control and govern the United States until we find a suitable heir. And who's going to find the suitable heir? Well, that boils down to world politics. You'll lose all your freedom. Do not engage the people. If they shoot at you, run. Do not shoot. Don't fight. Don't shoot back unless you can, if you're cornered, then fight back. But don't shoot until you are shot upon, and even then, you gotta flee. If it's your home, it's understandable, but don't go out and fight like in the Battle of Berkeley. Please, that is a direct order. Don't do it. Continue.
War is a very ugly thing, and I don't think we should be so flippant about calling for these things. I think there are plenty of tools at our disposal, and the great hope is this. I believe that the American people still possess common sense. I don't think to have appointed them to run our lives possess common sense. But I think even if you just look at public opinion surveys, the priorities of the American people are very different from those of the mediocrities who are ruling us. If you look on issues of immigration, the majority of Americans want to limit immigration, legal and illegal. We're simply taking in too many people. We're not assimilating them. It's creating a lot of social problems.
Yep.
How come all of the elite people in the Democratic Party and most of them in the Republican Party want effectively open borders, but the majority of Americans want to drastically reduce immigration? There's obviously some gap there. This is true, I think, like Drag Queen Story.
That's her producer. That's her producer. The Liam dude, DK, welcome, by the way, is her producer. She literally is fucking that guy. We don't know. It could be producer in name only, but at the same time, the fact that she rose to such heights and got on RT, got on Greg Gutfeld, got on Tucker, got on, all these different places. It makes me wonder, is it not what you know, or is it who you blow? Like, legitimately, that's a fair question.
At least she's not, at least she's not as obnoxious as Kamala Harris.
At least she's not as obnoxious as fucking, what's her name, Candace Owen. That bitch is fucking obnoxious.
That's true.
Plus, she's better looking too. I'll just say that. And that's that. You could take that to the bank. Anyhow, keep going. Let's continue, because it gets to the point where they start flocking, like literally prowling. I think we should censor the internet. Go on.
The theorists who gave us political correctness. I'm thinking of, in particular, of one guy.
Foucault.
Not Foucault. He was a mess as well. But this is actually further back than Foucault. Antonio Gramsci, an Italian. I hate that the Italians foisted this on us. But this one Italian communist pointed out that the radicals' revolutions fail because they don't possess cultural hegemony and they don't possess the common sense. No revolution can totally succeed if it's divorced from the common sense. This is why when the radical leftists purport to speak for the allegedly oppressed masses, you'll notice that the allegedly oppressed people generally don't care about the leftists' theories. They actually like their communities and their people and their way of life and their country. So I think there is a great deal of hope. What conservatives need to do, though, is grow a spine. They need courage. They need to ditch this ridiculous, ahistorical, as you call it, lolbertarianism that basically says that it's illegitimate to engage in the political process or to coerce anything out of anybody. I mean, this kind of idea has no grounding in American history. The founding fathers would have laughed at it. They may have cried at this stupid idea. I think we need to get courage and be willing to offer a substantive vision of politics and, most importantly, enforce it.
And I guess, getting into the nitty-gritty, because I'm all about action lately. I'm sure you feel the same way watching 2020 happen, and just the lack of spine, lack of adherence to the goals of their office. Politician after politician, even Republicans, just cave. Essentially,
that's your Italian. That's Gramsci right there. That's your Italian. That's your sensitivity. That's the Mario. That's the Mario Spassi meatball. Anyhow, keep going. Oh God, look at that fucking straight cap of Lauren. Holy shit. Wow. I'm gonna have to save that for later. I'll let you just keep going. No, that was really good. Holy shit.
Measurable thing.
Keep going. Keep going.
To get culture back from the left. Are there any other agendas or policies that you're looking at right now that you think, yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about? This is how conservatives get off of playing defense and actually go on the offense to reclaim the country.
Yes, two ideas. One is on CRT, and I think we actually need to go further with this. There have been the squishes who say, well, it's fine to have critical race theory. It just shouldn't be mandated, but it should be open, and we can expand the curriculum. You cannot expand a curriculum. There are only so many weeks in the semester, only so many hours in the day. Every minute of your life that you squander reading trash by Kimberly Crenshaw or Ibram.
Is Kimberly Crenshaw related to Dan Crenshaw? I legitimately don't know if they're the same person or not. Like again, Crenshaw to me sounds like a very, very fucking, specific name. It's not like Barnes or McGregor or something like that. No, but like, I wonder, but keep going. What's his point?
Reading something worthwhile. Education is intrinsically coercive. There is no difference between education and indoctrination. The words mean the same thing. We are going to teach students certain things. This canard that we should teach students how to think, not what to think, is a preposterous false dichotomy. In order to know how to think, you need to know certain things, and that involves teaching students what to think in some way. So I'm glad they're doing that. We need to do it more so. We need to ditch the defense of so-called academic freedom. It's a joke. Conservatives used to know that. William F. Buckley Jr.
What?
Modern conservative movement.
No. We're not ditching the fucking modern academic freedom thing. I might do a video on that next week because that in itself is something that is really unheard of. Because, well, let me just give you give me the Cliff Notes version of it. I want to say around the time of like World War II, and after that, probably for like from the 50s to the 60s, I'd say, probably up until like the 70s, and maybe even today. But really started off in the 1940s. We started to see a push in academia that certain things can be studied and certain things you shall not study. So there was actually like a money, like the military-industrial complex was funding certain types of projects. So basically, they were spiking the market. They were perverting the market of ideas and saying that this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. A lot of it was developed under weapons development during the time of the 40s to fight the Nazis, the communists, and pretty much everybody under the sun. Okay, and a lot of it, again, was very unethically made. But at the same time, a lot of it was done by the government for the government, and it was suggested by the government. It was not suggested by the academic elites wanted this because then they would get all the money. That's what it was about. It was about money. There's a reason why our diet's so fucked up. Who do you think invented the food pyramid? Right? Think about that. Keep going.
So is he just talking about, like, wouldn't it just make more sense to say you cannot teach any form, you cannot advocate for any form of Marxism? Wouldn't that just make more sense?
Yeah, it would. The problem here is that, there's no way to freaking, there's no way to differentiate between preach and teach. Now, granted, critical theory, for you to teach it, eventually there's going to have a new strain of it. We talk about the viral memes, right? Well, there'll be a new strain, a Delta strain of not COVID-19, a Delta strain of critical theory. There'll be a Delta strain of it, or a Bravo strain, I guess you could say. Similar to how, I say Duginist philosophy is basically Marxism mixed with the Frankfurt School. It's like a mutation of Marxism. Same concept. You're going to get that. And that's because people have their own ideas. Now, the question is, how do you teach Marxism as opposed to preaching Marxism? Can you teach Marxism? Well, yes, you can. Should you preach critical race theory? No. Should you teach it? No. Should you talk about what it is? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think in an academic sense. Keep going, Luke.
By making fun of the idea of academic freedom. He had a book called God and Man at Yale, subtitled The Superstitions of Academic Freedom. He called it a hoax. Right. Take care of that. Get that out of the schools. Just ban it, censor it, cancel it, for that matter. The second part, though, is related. What's another area of speech that I think we need to clamp down on in order to actually free speech? Obscenity would be a good example. As recently as a dozen years ago, in the United States,
No, fuck you. We don't, no, fuck your obscenity laws. Fuck you. We're not doing that. That's bullshit. Don't ever fucking tell me that again. Like, legitimately, we already have a very well-defined obscenity rules. We already do. Here's the issue, though. Here's the issue. Obscenity ultimately boils down to, somebody doing something really, really strange. Like, there was actually a pornographer. He's going to talk about the pornographer. I actually looked him up for a second. But he was basically doing stuff that was absolutely, It was illegal. Some of it was illegal, but I don't know. Just keep going. Keep going.
Jailed a pornographer, threw him in federal prison for almost 4 years for obscenity, not for child porn, not for sexual assault, just for putting out smut. This is a good thing. There is no First Amendment right to pornography. Thomas Jefferson did not believe that you had the right to look at some creepy stuff on the internet.
Hasn't there already been one? American versus Larry Flint?
I believe so. There is. There has been. And this is a lie. Now, the real question, and this is the real question at the end, this is the one that matters. Why aren't any of these conservatives censoring their own network or their own home network? Why aren't they using DNS blocking? Why aren't they using any of the parental controls that are out there? Few and far between. You want to talk about, Freedom Phone. Why don't you actually have a family phone? A phone in which you can personally control that child's access to the internet, the open internet. And I'm gonna ask this because they're gonna start talking about, oh, look at all the kids who have access to the internet. I'm like, who gave them access? Who gave them access? You did. You fucking gave the kid the fucking iPad. Continue.
And of course, since the kids are always one step above the adults, so there's no way you can censor it even with that.
Oh, yeah, dude, like back in the day, back in my fucking high school years, I fucking learned how to use PHP proxies and set them up. I literally know how to use proxies simply because of fucking trying to bypass the internet. Now, that was back when we didn't have cell phones. This is like 2006, right? And even then, they weren't nothing like they are today. Same time, I fucking learned HTML because of fucking MySpace. That's the type of culture we need. Stuff that actually makes you want to learn so you can get a benefit out of learning HTML instead of, even if it's to pimp your MySpace profile. Go on, Luke, continue.
This is very important. Now, the squishes will say that and I notice, by the way, it's mostly boomer lolbertarian types. It's the younger conservatives are actually pretty serious about this. And
right, because we see how ineffectual the older generations were, and we want to try something different.
Yes, and the younger generations, by the way, know the effect of having porn. I mean, it's for Generation Z, they've had porn since they've been conscious, right? They've had devices in their hands since they were 4 years old. And so they recognize how insidious this sort of thing is. The difference, I think, gets to two views of liberty. There is the modern liberal view. You might also call this kind of like the boomer view or the libertarian view. That's the idea that liberty is the ability to do whatever you want.
Yes. Yes. I can go up to you and slit your throat. I'm going to go up and gang rape Lauren Chen and Candace Owen. I can do that. But there are consequences for certain liberties. Some of them are natural, like if I drink a lot of beer and I get fat, right? Some of them are societal, such as, if I look down, if I go up to somebody and just start whacking off a horse, right? But just fucking giving them a hand like that. I do that, I'm gonna get fucking they're probably gonna be legal consequences. They're gonna be fucking societal consequences. People are gonna think I'm weird, and even bringing it up, there's a consequence. But the point is, we only focus on the legal consequences, not the societal consequences. And a lot of the stuff that we already have freedom to do it. We don't need to censor the network. I bring this up for two reasons. If you censor the ISPs on the ISP level, you are building infrastructure that can then censor other topics. Today, it could very well be we want to censor it so that kids can't get access to see titty. Well, guess what? Tomorrow, it could very well be anything that is sex ed related. It could very well be anything for that matter. And the same type of tools that can be used to censor porn can be used to censor political dissidents. You're doing the same problem, the same fucking shit that you did with the Patriot Act. And I'm going to call you on it. Because I'm a fucking, I'm 30-year-old grown-ass man, right? I'll call you on it. This is wrong. Fucking literally clean your own fucking network. Clean your own room. Jesus. Keep going.
Conservative view of liberty, which the Founding Fathers shared and which every serious person throughout history has shared. Namely, liberty is not the ability to do whatever you want. It is the right to do what you ought to do.
I ought to whack off. I ought to whack off. I ought to have a fucking drink. I ought to have a few drinks. I ought to, be able to get up in the morning. I ought to be able to drink it till there's a lot of I oughtas, dude. And there's a lot of conclusions you can come to. And you can't tell me, that I'm being intellectually dishonest because you don't know my psyche. I'm just playing devil's advocate. And there may be people who say, I do want to have lots of sex. It's actually fucking relieving. There are people out there who'll do that. Censorship is a double-edged sword for sure. It is. It absolutely is. It is. And, you know, I'll be frank with you, you know, again, the censorship can be done on the router level. You could censor out shit based on certain, you know, topics, but also on certain, you know, they have like DNS servers lists that are maintained by like, you know, parental control companies. You could give your kid access to a certain DNS list that blocks Pornhub and things like that on the DNS level. Not necessarily the IP level, but you can't search for it in Google. It won't show up. Continue, Luke.
Liberal education, for instance, is the training in virtue, in the training of your habits and the tamping down of base passions. So you think, okay, according to the modern lib view of liberty, the heroin addict is the freest person on earth. Right? As long as he's got a couple bucks in his pocket, he can shoot up. Oh my gosh, isn't he so free? He's so liberated. No, he's obviously a slave. He's the least free person ever because he's a slave to his base passions.
No, he's
the true
not.
liberated person.
No, he's not. Well, let me ask you a question. Hang on. Couldn't you then argue that your desire to do good is a base passion as well? It's a higher passion, sure, but it's still a base passion. And then this is no, it is. It really is.
It's not really a passion because more like in the past, morality was always seen an appeal to reason, not to passion.
Yeah, but even then, like again, I bring this up for two reasons. Because if a heroin addict, smackhead, shoots up, as long as smackhead shows up to work, smackhead did nothing wrong. Okay, like again, it's like alcohol. You don't want to drink your family into the fucking poorhouse, but you could definitely drink. Some people can handle it, some people can. The issue is that some of these things are really, really strong. They get you addicted on the biological level. One of the biggest problems I had with weed for the longest time was that there's no way to actually measure THC content. So like if I eat an edible, it could very well affect me and knock me out for like a day and a half, or it could just give me a buzz. There's no way to tell the difference.
Well, can we at least have some sense in saying that you should not do you could not be drunk or get shot and shoot up in public?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely think you shouldn't shoot up in public. I think it's very unsanitary, and you probably shouldn't do it for your own health. Just your own rational self-interest. Not to mention, let's be frank, shooting up is, again, do it the same time you would probably do it with, you know, with a fucking diabetic. A diabetic checking his insulin. Do it in private and do it in a sterile environment, please. Continue.
Is one who has cultivated his virtues and has not fallen into these vices.
So I have the feeling that when it comes to this whole discussion of liberty, and I love liberty, I like freedom, but I feel like more and more conservatives are starting to take the libertarian approach where they define liberty as the end goal, the ultimate.
They don't even do that much. They're allowing the opposition to define what liberty is and them to control it. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's like the cartels, isn't it? We want to control the cartels. We don't want to fucking, you know, get rid of them. We want to control them. We want them. They're making too much money. You know, we want to control. We want control. It's like fucking Sicario. You know, they don't want to kill the cartels. They just want to control it. You know, it is.
Whereas, I don't know about you, but I see it more as an ends to a mean. Liberty is valuable insofar as we use it to achieve a just, virtuous society, which is not the same as saying that as long as you're free to do something, it's automatically a moral good, which I feel even among conservative circles is the argument we're hearing.
Coincidentally, Lauren, your view happens to be the same view as that of James Madison, the father of the Constitution, who writes in The Federalist, he says, justice is the end of government. It will be pursued unless liberty be lost in the process. When you actually go back to that infamous phrase from David French, where he's quoting the Constitution, we are establishing this government, they write, to give to our people the blessings of liberty. Liberty there is instrumental. It is to an end. And I think, moreover, the key is to recognize that liberty and licentiousness are not the same thing. The Founding Fathers didn't think they were the same thing. No one thought they was the same thing until about 5 minutes ago. Actually, they're opposites. If you have a licentious society, you will not have a free society.
And the thing is, I completely agree with that.
I agree, but the problem here is at what cost? At what point are you going to clean your own room before you fix the world, to borrow Peterson's, Petersonian bullshit, right? At what point?
I mean, don't we just, are we going to say, like, as a society, we're not going to promote licentiousness or legalize prostitution?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We should definitely do that. But here's the problem. We're not talking about prostitution. We're talking about porn.
Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, they're talking about porn.
Hmm.
They're talking about porn, and they're talking about drugs. And I'm thinking to myself, there are people out there who are alcoholics, and they drink their families under the fucking table, or into the poorhouse, like I said. And you're gonna be concerned about the weed addict or the junkie. As long as they go to fucking work, as long as they are responsible, let them be. Go on.
Of a free society, you will have to tamp down on licentiousness. John Adams said this. I don't mean to be a scold or a prude. I actually don't think I'm either a scold or a prude. I'm just telling you, as a fallen man who's lived and been around the block a little bit, one has a greater life. One is able to flourish more when one tamps down vice. It's just a fact. John Adams said that the Constitution is built for a moral and religious people. He wasn't being a scold or a prude either. He was just making a descriptive statement. He was stating a fact about the world. The less we understand true liberty, the more we give into licentiousness and this anything goes nonsense, the less free we will be, the less capable of self-government, and the more in need we will be of a ruler, which is what we're seeing day in and day out, whether it's the Dr. Fauci's of the world or some other benevolent better who appoints himself to run our life.
Right, and it is just terrifying to watch how the everyday lives, especially people who are in our generation, are increasingly giving in to essentially any base desire that they want. It's almost as if any attempt to say, hey, you should control your urges is now seen as restrictive and authoritarian, even though
it is. And I'll tell you the reason why is because who says they aren't in control? Like I said, he describes a heroin addict. What's the first thing you think of heroin addict besides Jim Goad? Like what's the first thing you think?
Sherlock Holmes?
No, I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I was thinking of a hobo, like a homeless guy, usually like red in the face, bushy, fucking has a beard, wears a fucking cap, and he's just sitting on the ground. He's wearing his fucking like really dark beige earth tones, right? He's injecting himself with heroin. He's just like, or you can think of the black guy in the same scenario. Again, legitimately. That's what people think of in terms of heroin. They don't think of people who are heroin addicts who are, doing it on let's say a lunch break at work. They don't think of those things. Now, granted, heroin is I think we should reassess a lot of these drugs. Some of them don't belong. Some of them, the way the effects on the human psyche, they shouldn't be taken in the way they're being taken. Like for example, morphine. That heroin can be given to people in fucking the UK. It can be used with a medicinal purpose. The issue here is that, like I said, the libertine, the son of a bitch who's shooting up fucking morphine because he can't deal with the reality of Vietnam, is somebody who's not healthy. Okay, yeah, the reality of Vietnam is fucked up, but at the same time, these people are talking like it's a one-sided issue, that everyone on drugs is not doing anything. Well, if you're doing it, as long as you are showing yourself up to work, doing what you need to do, you should be fine. The question is, how many people actually do that? And the question then becomes, should someone have a license to do the drugs? Like, should we have a license? Should we have like a base amount of income to do drugs, that you could be allowed to do drugs if you do this? Should that be allowed? Like again, it's not as black and white as they're making it. And again, as somebody who agrees with them in a lot of this stuff, the outcomes and the conclusions they're coming to are what I disagree upon. Continue.
On you to have vaccine passports. Bit of a double standard there, but
you know what I think, Lauren? I think instead of ginning up our base passions, we should gin up our based passions. Don't you
fuck
think?
you, Dad. Fuck. We'll keep going.
And pursuing the good.
I love it. So, Michael, where can people find you? Keep up with what you're doing, and where can people find your book?
Oh yeah, his book is called.
Most importantly, you can get the book at speechlessbook.com.
Speechless.
These people are grifters. Like, how old is this guy? How old is Michael Knowles?
I'm not sure, but maybe I should put. I'm looking for audiobooks. Maybe I can put his on my list.
Yeah, put it on your list. That's fine. That's fine, because at this point, I'm in the same boat right now. Like, I'm reading a hell of a lot more than I am right now. Well, I used to be. I'm reading fucking Hayek, and I'm reading some of Fulton Sheen, Mr. Fulton Air Recovery System. But yeah, that was happening, and that was my take on the whole left. The right can't. They can't fucking encrypt, but the left can, and it's kicking our asses. But we're learning, aren't we? Because apparently, Luke, the Arizona audits count stuff.
Before we go, before we move on to the next subject, I want to play one clip on Razor Fist. In regards to this censorship.
Gangs roll the fuck into town and start using it for whore fucking hobo knife fights. Is the park just gonna stand on principle and say, well, as distasteful as I find it, by God, this land is designated public use? No! They're gonna treat every one of you fuckers to a taser titty twister. And before you reply with, but that's different, those people would be committing an actual crime. Look, I agree. But motherfucker, from Parisian hate speech arrests to German authorities kicking down doors of anyone who deigns to disparage the diaspora at their fucking gates, how many feet down do I have to drill to make you cognizant of the fact that, yes, they view your thoughts as a crime?
Yes, they do. Yes, they see him as a crime, and I hope they burn in hell. Keep going.
But now we're on to Arizona, my little home state, and the developments have continued on. Isn't it interesting?
I would always say you're a Californian. I still claim you as Californian. The good Californian, though.
Well, I'm the California that got away from the madness, from the socialism.
Yeah, well, again, as somebody who doesn't believe in giving the SGW an inch, I'm staying here. Call me the Imperial Guard.
Arizona Republican Senator Wendy Rogers calls for a new election after the Arizona audit drops bombshells that have shocked and rocked Republicans and Democrats everywhere. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Obvious, and today on the internet, we've got a lot to talk about, folks. Right now, the Arizona Senate is holding several hearings for Maricopa County regarding the Cyber Ninjas Group's audit on the presidential election. Now, because we live in an age of censorship and communism and corporate overlords, there's only so much...
Now, for a little bit of context, keep in mind, Biden won Arizona by about 10,000 votes. Just 10,000. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, 10,000 is like one small county, right?
No, in the whole state. Biden won Arizona by only 10,000 votes. That is almost that is like a fraction of a victory.
Are we actually saying 10,000, 100, or just literally 10,000?
10,000.
That I can tell you about these things, so I'm going to be very careful with my words. But to put it simply, the results of this audit are absolutely shocking. We're also going to talk about Congressional Black Caucus Chairwoman Joyce Betty, who was arrested after storming the Capitol building after she marched in with a mass of angry protesters demanding that the Senate pass the For the People Act. Now we're going to talk about all of that and more, but before we do, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so that you get updates for more content. And share this video. Sharing this video is the most important thing you can do in order to fight back against big tech suppression and our sponsor. Introducing a brand new sponsor. Do you like science fiction novels?
No, I don't. No, we don't. Go away, Grifter.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot tell you everything that has happened in this audit. Many mainstream social media websites like YouTube or Facebook and Twitter are communist. So I'm going to jump over to Newsweek. Arizona Republican Senator Wendy Rogers is calling for a new 2020 presidential election in her state, demanding that officials decertify the election that took place in November. Rogers, who has been a public proponent of Arizona's multiple election audit efforts, took to Twitter Thursday to voice her opinion that following the updates from an election audit many believe to be without merit, if Arizona is to get this right, a new election must take place. Okay. Personally, I think this is a little bit unrealistic. Right now, we should focus on getting results from these audits. Now, here's what really bothered me. Maricopa County was trending on Twitter, and here you can see in the following screenshot, Twitter posted this: politics trending. There is no evidence of widespread fraud in Maricopa County's 2020 presidential election results, according to USA Today, AP, and factcheck.org.
Because they're very reliable, you know.
Bullshit.
You can see that it's trending with 94,000 tweets. I have a very, very big problem with this. If anything, this is nothing but sheer propaganda. This was trending because Maricopa County was having an Arizona Senate hearing where the Arizona audit was presenting some of its findings, including testimony from key individuals. I'm going to go over one of the biggest claims from this. Should it be fine? I'm going to roll the clip.
So, for example, we have 74,243 mail-in ballots where there is no clear record of them being sent. And just to be clear, here in the state of Arizona, there's EV32s and EV33s. EV32s is supposed to give a record of when a mail-in ballot is sent, and EV33 is supposed to give a record of when the mail-in ballot is received. And so there should be an equal, there should be more EV32s, more sent out than there are that are received. Specifically with these, we can tie them to a specific individual that was mailed to. And so we have 74,000 where we have them came back from individuals where we don't have a clear indication that they were ever sent out to them.
74,000 in a state where Biden only won by 10,000.
Yeah. He stole the election. Again, he stole the motherfucking election. We all know this. And you can get me, Wojcicki. Do it, bitch. I'm right here.
We'll see if they put a little message underneath, or we'll see what happens.
That could be something where documentation wasn't done right. There's a clerical issue. There's not proper things there. But I think when we've got 74,000, it merits knocking on a door and validating some of this information.
So as you can see in the following clip, it's pretty simple. They have over 74,000 ballots, mail-in ballots specifically, where there is no proof that the person who signed the ballot, the person who voted, actually received the ballot in the first place. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that there was any foul play. I know a lot of people are throwing around the word fraud or cheating or stuff like that, but it could also be a clerical error. However, this is what's very important to remember. The Arizona race was decided by 10,457 votes. That is an extremely slim margin. Now, it's possible that these people received their ballots, they voted on those ballots, and then they mailed them in. However, it's also possible that these people who supposedly voted never actually got the ballot, meaning it could not have been them who filled out those ballots. And as the man says, this means that it's probably a good idea to knock on some doors and ask people, hey, did you fill out this ballot? Did you vote? It's really that simple. In other news, now this made me laugh when I saw it. Congressional Black Caucus Chairwoman...
That's separate, though. That's the lawyers who left Texas to go protest the voting acts.
Go Texas.
Yeah, they're.
I really feel like I feel like we have a. I feel like we have a. I want to say I kind of want to do a Helena. You ever seen Helena Axis? You know Helena Axis is, right?
I forgot. What is that?
It's the anime where all the countries are fucking personified.
What was it called again?
So they have the Helena Axis, I believe it's called. Helena Axis. Let me see.
I don't see it. Maybe I must be spelling it wrong.
I think it's Helena Axis. Anime Access, I think it's called. No, it's Helkalina Axis Powers. There we go. Here we go. My bad. Helkalia Axis Powers. This is what it is. And basically what it is it's basically the main character is the casts of World War. The countries like Italy, Germany, Japan, and United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, China, and Canada. And they're all basically, they're basically personified versions of those characters and what their conflict was of World War II. So it's sort of like, oh, you just killed a bunch of people. Oh, yeah, how quickly am I? Or some shit like that, right? And I'm thinking to myself, we should do the same thing for fucking the United States at this point, because we basically are at war with each other. Might as well have well, technically we already do have that, don't we? The fucking country balls. Do we have a California ball? Do we have California ball? Yeah, California ball.
California ball.
Yeah. Ball.
Well, it's just an image. I'm not sure if it counts.
It's not. It's the ball of the little bouncing ball, you know how they have the German ball.
The only thing I could find was this.
What? Oh, there it is. There's my boy. There's my boy. Yep, that's our California ball.
Yeah, Kraut uses these images all the time in his videos.
Yep, he does. It's good shit. There you go. Burger King nationalism got it. Yeah, we need to start having that. We need to start using the Arizona flags and shit like that. Start using the flags, because I'll tell you, state nationalism is going to be the next thing. We had chunky nationalism.
Yeah, I believe that's called, well, technically, not to be too technical, it was called federalism once upon a time.
Oh, really? What's federalism?
Basically, federalism is every single state technically is its own country, and the government just serves as the referee between them all, which was kind of the whole point of the American experiment.
Yeah, let's bring back federalism. No more fuck nationalism, federalism. No, seriously, fuck nationalism, federalism, baby. Yeah, we want that. We want that. But for California. Anyhow. Or the United States. Seriously, it'll be interesting. I love it. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, well, we're ending our show soon. So
before we go, I think I have one more. I think I could find Razorfist rant on his latest of the Razor Force Offensive if I could find it just right.
Alrighty, I have not.
Hell Pits, you've watched it in 4K fucking Technicolor right along with me. You're with my experience living across the street from a literal human fucking trafficker. And folks, that was in the 90s. If we had a brush fire in 91, by 21 is a 5-alarm fucking inferno, and one engulfing both border-facing countries, might I add. Kamala can cackle about how she inherited kids in cages from her fucking running mate all she likes. It's all obfuscation until you attack the underlying issue. And no, you champagne-chugging, cum-burping, Willy Brown, ball-gargling Skankosaurus making a pit stop in fucking Guatemala is not addressing the underlying cause. Unless, of course, the cause is making it look like you're goddamn doing something without actually lifting a fucking finger. Watching Kamala and the Biden administration is like watching that one Seinfeld where George Costanza acts supremely pissed at work all the time, so his coworkers assume he's fucking busy. Kamala is that with a picture of Pinot Noir on the side. All I'm waiting on is for Biden to get fired for fucking the cleaning lady. Hey, look on the bright side. So long as he's pickling his prick and Consuela's cunt brine, he's far too busy to thermonuke the entirety of Texas, which, as we noted earlier, he effectively threatened to do earlier this week. But folks, is it really a gaffe when you literally mean every solitary syllable of what you're saying? Look, unlike Benzedrine Shapiro, every time T-Rump flew off at the face hole and said some stupid shit, I generally put it down to him speaking extemporaneously rather than formalizing a fucking policy point. And generally speaking, I tend to afford Biden's late-stage Alzheimer's afflicted ass the self-same courtesy. But understand this. When Biden spouts off about flying Tomahawk missiles at evangelical towns and goddamn gun owners, he ain't having a senior moment, motherfucker. Hell, he ain't even really quoting his gun czar, Beavis and Beto. He's quoting himself from 15 fucking years ago. And all the while, Kamala's licking her chops between wine tastings. And as easy as it is to hate on the bitch, you would be too. Being second in line after a reanimated mummy like Biden is like Sylvester sitting under the windowsill waiting for the pumpkin pie to be put out to cool. And while it's true Trump will be 4 years fucking older come the next election cycle, he can still assemble a sentence. Hell, you need to keep Kamala pinned to a prompter lest the eldritch evils of the Everdark spew from her fermented maw. This bitch may be broadsided by border drama at present, but folks, she is still sitting pretty in that catbird seat. If you look real close past her pinback jowls and plasticine eye flab, you can already see her prepping points for her inevitable debate with Trump. Because then as now as always, Trump has text alerts. Biden has life alerts. I'm Razorfist.
Damn. That's pretty good. I might actually sign up for Tay Spaghetti's site.
And Eric, I just found out that Stefan Molyneux was in there too.
That is good. I need to get back to Stefan Molyneux. I like this stuff. I really did like his stuff. I might bring him in. I might actually call in at some point.
The other character, like Owen Benjamin, is in there too, but other people. There might be some other people more interesting in here.
Owen's a sideshow. I love it. Apparently, he thinks panda bears are bullshit, or they're not real.
Panda bears.
Why? Why he doesn't think they're real?
Well, that's all, folks. For me, folks.
Yeah. Take care of one another. Be good to one another, ladies and gentlemen. Saving the West is the side.